It's a Denver Bronco Roundup on the Friday night. A Denver Bronco Roundup on the Friday night. Oh, man, guys, I'm jacked up. I'm ready to go, man. It's been a long day, but welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup on a Friday night, brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends. We'll be talking about both of those a little bit later. I'm going to welcome in my co-host on a Friday night, coming in on fire, Trevor Salzman. Maybe a little bit of fever, but on fire nonetheless, man. A little under the weather, sticking with us, being a part of the show. Appreciate you so much, Trevor. Welcome in, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith. Yeah, just a little bit under the weather, but, I'm one of those that believes you can't really get better just staying in bed all the time. You definitely got to be active and find what you love, and this is what I love. So I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now, so thankful for you guys, for sure.
Well, man, thankful for you coming in under the weather, maybe a little clammy looking. I'm not saying, not passing any judgment here, bud. Sorry about that, man. But, hey, man, appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you being here. Couldn't do it without you. And, man, it's been a run for Trevor. It's been a run for these Denver Broncos. He's had the last few days. We've had the last few weeks, man. We've just been stacking wins. Kansas City Chiefs, nah, no big deal. Buffalo Bills, no big deal. Yeah, just keep checking them off. Minnesota Vikings, man, stop that run. No big deal, man. But it's getting tougher and tougher. It's not getting easier. I got to jump in here, man, because we got our friends coming in here. As I call them, our posse over here as we're in here on the open range of the Denver Bronco Roundup. Roger's coming in saying, how you doing, boys? Welcome to December. Let's start with a W, man. Love it, man. Absolutely, man. We certainly did well in November. Undefeated in November, man. Why not start off December the exact same way? Michael Ronquillo just coming in and saying, good evening, Trevor and Keith. Big hearts, orange and blue. Appreciate you very much, Michael. As always, man, big fan of the show, big supporter. Can't help but thank you enough for always coming in here. Graham coming in here with the claps, man. He knows what it's all about. We've been giving those claps up, man. Those claps come in from the K&K Sports Show. Kurt Valente is the one who brings the claps in. You can check him out on the K&K Sports Show on Wednesday. He has his own Denver Broncos podcast. I implore you to go out there and check out the K&K Sports Show, especially on Wednesday night, Bronco fans. Kenny Kirkpatrick, the other half, is coming in and saying, happy Friday, fellas. Looking forward to another episode of the best Broncos podcast on earth. DBR, Denver Bronco Roundup, if you guys don't know. Trevor, feel better, bud.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
coming from Kenny, not from me, just from Kenny. So
I appreciate that, Kenny.
All right, man. Appreciate, like I said, Trevor coming in here sick. Appreciate Kenny. He's been a guest on our show as well. Again, another part of the K&K Sports Show, guys. Check them out. And, man, best on Earth, man. I guess we need to set our sights even higher now. We need to go off of Earth and see if we can be best in the universe. Oh, wow, man. I appreciate it very much, Kenny. What's that, bud?
So that's the goal.
That's the goal, man. Yeah, we're off Earth. We're off planetary, circumference, or I don't know. I'm just talking gibberish now. Not talking gibberish. Always coming in. Big fan of the show. Pearl's coming in, saying hi, Kenny, and hi to all. So, hello to you. Hello to me. Hello to everybody in the chat. Everybody that's part of the posse. Pearl's coming in saying hello. So, thank you, Pearl, very much. Graham saying Broncos-Cowboys Super Bowl would be Fun?
Oh.
Michael's coming in saying 64% with a W, 21% with an L to make the NFL playoffs. That's an update on some stats I think he gave us on our last show that we were on here. Good evening from Louisville, Kentucky, says James Green, a big Denver fan. Well, every single big Denver fan is welcome on the Denver Bronco Roundup. Welcome to the show, James. Come in, jump in with some comments, jump in with some questions. Graham saying he also saw those statistics as well, Michael, so appreciate a little backup on that. Jody, the other quarter of the Denver Bronco Roundup, as it is. We're missing Albert and Jody on Friday nights, but Trevor always comes in saying Russ for MVP. Appreciate it. Big smiles and hearts from coming in from Pearl. I'm going to get through this really quick. Go Broncos country only from Ernie Mays. Appreciate it. And Kenny's coming in saying Kurt has the label of best on East Coast, but DBR was first and simply the best. So, wow, man, I appreciate it, Kenny. Even talking about his own guy, man, putting him second and saying, hi, Pearl, happy Friday to you. That's coming in from Kenny Kirkpatrick. Well, wow, now that we're all caught up, right, guys, I appreciate you, again, jumping in, being part of the show. It's all about your comments, your questions. We got to start talking about this Denver Broncos team. Like I said, they've stacked up the wins. They went through November undefeated. They went 5-0. We're on to Houston. First away game in quite a while. I got to get over to my buddy Trevor, and I got to start talking about well, I'll let you choose, man. We have Broncos offense, Broncos defense, Texans offense, Texans defense. What do you want to hit first, buddy?
Ooh, we can hit. Let's hit the offense first.
Denver Broncos offense?
Yeah, Broncos offense first. So I'll do you want to jump in first, or do you want?
No, man, go right ahead. I'm giving you the floor. I've been talking and catching up on all these comments and giving shout outs and the whole 9 yards, man. The floor is finally yours. Go ahead, buddy. Talk about this Denver Broncos offense for a second.
No, so I think definitely the Broncos offense. Obviously we're seeing them get better. I think the Cleveland Browns game, we've seen this offense take another step forward, and they really did a great job balancing out things. So it's going to be interesting this week to what they do. I think Houston's defense overall wise, they're pretty poor against the pass, and so I wonder how that's going to affect the Broncos' mindset going in this game, because they've really been a more run heavy team, but they're also have been moving more towards that balance effect. So maybe if this is a week, maybe we start seeing Russell Wilson kind of continuing to get more looks, and we start seeing this playbook open up a little bit more on the passing game side of things. The Houston team, they're not great in particular. Get after the quarterback, interceptions, takeaways. So I just don't know. I think if Sean Payton, I think if you truly believe in Russ, I think this is the game that you definitely need to see some of those deep shots down the field. Now I don't want to get away from the run game in particular, because again, stats are one thing, but you've got to continue to work to where your team's strengths are at. So I think I want to see this team still be a balanced attack, but definitely if this is the week to take deep shots, I think this is the week to do so.
Man, you're playing right into it, man. I'll hit a few more things in just a second, but I'm going to hit Graham real quick, just coming in with a comment saying, I feel at this point we can beat anyone, but let's not rule out the possibility of them laying an egg.
Ooh.
It's we've been riding well. Everyone's been talking about, turnovers. Can that continue? All these different things. Can it continue? Can it continue? At some point, you do feel like, you come out and you fall flat one week. When's it going to be? Could it be this week? Could it be this week that we lay an egg versus Houston? It'd be terrible, terrible timing. Good friend Jeremy Dressler coming in saying, sup, you too. Sup, Jeremy. Appreciate you coming in here, supporting the show. Always a good fan, but always a friend first. So appreciate you, Jeremy, jumping in here. So I'm going to probably read over Kenny's question before I jump it up on the screen. I want to talk a little bit about this offense and what the possibilities are, because really, well, I'm gonna cheat, man, and talk about a little bit about the Texans defense in doing so. 3.6 opposing rushing yards per attempt. That is number 3 in the league. They shut down the run. On the opposite side of things, Opposing yards per pass, 7.3. That's number 28th in the league. Speaking to what my friend Trevor was just speaking about, we're going to have to find a way to operate this offense through the passing game and do it almost exclusively. I think it's your opportunity to find what's another way, Trevor, that you can somewhat get the running game, but not get the running game, get the production. How are you gonna get production out of the running game if you aren't actually running the ball? I guess is the best way to put it. You're going to go ahead and you're going to use screens, you're going to use outlets, you're going to use dump offs, you're going to use over the middle tight end, over the middle running back. You might have to be a little bit inventive in order to do so. In order to keep this offense running, keep it going, keep it matriculating down the field, it's what might be necessary in order to make this offense go. And I think this offense will need to go if we want to stay within the game that this Houston Texans, I think, have the opportunity to almost dictate. They're at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wonder a little bit if this team, again with the Texans, I still want to see the Broncos run the ball, and I want to see a balanced attack, because again, this was a Cleveland Browns defense last week that was pretty decent against the run too, but that helped upset the passing game a little bit more. So I think you want to, I think if you're going to open up the playbook for Russell Wilson, this will be the week to do it, and take some of those deep shots. But I still think that you still need to test it and be like, okay, I see what the stats say, but I want to see it. Let me see you stop the run. Once I see it, then we can adjust to that. But still think you got to take advantage of what's been working and play to your team's strength and still try to run the ball effectively as much as possible.
All right, man. I'm going to jump into a couple questions, a couple comments, and then I want to come back to this because I think this is big in how this game plays out, man. I really do. Kenny Kirkpatrick's coming in here with a fantastic question. Like I said, I'd read it a little bit before we come in here. It says, question, since you're talking about offense, the Cardinals released tight end Zach Ertz, and he cleared waivers today. Do you think the Broncos should make an attempt to sign him and add depth at tight end? I want to serve that up to you, Trevor, man. First, Zach Ertz. Ooh, I'll leave that up on the screen. Zach Ertz released, clears waivers, was once, Pro Bowl tight end, I believe, if I remember correctly. Certainly ranked up there and was one of the best out there. Is Zach Ertz intriguing enough to bring on to the Denver Broncos roster?
I think he's definitely intriguing, and that's the thing, is the pros and the cons of this. So the cons would be, well, he's been pretty injury prone the past couple of years. He did get beat out by Trey McBride in Arizona, and you worry about bringing somebody outside to bring them in because you are on a roll right now. I'm not saying Ertz would be a problem in the locker room or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying keep with what's been working. Troutman, I think, has been more than salvageable to be that pass-catching tight end. I don't think that that's necessarily his strength, but I think that he's shown the ability to make some really great catches. And you have a wide receiver group that is one of the highest paid in the league. I think you will need to get those guys involved more first than involving a tight end in Ertz. You just wonder, does he want production? Because I don't know in this offense. Yeah, it favors tight ends, but what if he doesn't get that production? What happens then? And the pros obviously be his upside. Problem is with Ertz, we haven't seen his upside in a while. So you wonder, where's his upside going to be at, and his age and his injury concern. Is that another? Are you dealing with another Greg Dulcich type thing where he's one hit? I mean, he's pretty sustainable to get an injury. Do you roll the dice on that, because you have had durable tight ends for the most part this year besides Dulcich? So there's pros and cons to that. I would at least got to look at it. But I think in particular, I don't know if Ertz wants to come to Denver though, because he does have the Philadelphia Eagles that are interested in him. Kansas City's interested in him. There might be some different offenses that he's more comfortable in. Certainly with the Eagles, so that's the team that he spent most of his career with, and he was really productive with them. So I don't know how viable he wants to come to Denver. I don't know if the Broncos are interested. I haven't heard them a ton being interested in him right now. So I just wonder, it'd be a great fit, and I think it's certainly worth a shot. But I don't know that that's something they want to do right now, because this offense is improving week by week.
Coming in with a short response is Graham. He's saying vet minimum for Ertz. That's his recommendation. I'm also going to come in short as well. Yeah, I think you should show interest. I should think you should look. But honestly, I don't think the Denver Broncos are going to.
No.
Sean Payton has shown that he's going to stick with the guys that are on this roster. Yeah, there's guys floating in and off of practice squad and the whole 9 yards, but how many of those guys that have been added mid-year to the practice squad have actually seen the field to this point? I can't think of a one. Yeah, we added practice squad guys obviously at the very beginning before the year started, and those guys have come up and been part of our team, but anybody that has been added since the beginning of the year has not seen the field that I know of. If I'm wrong, please drop in the comments. I'll take my lashes. I believe me. So, but I just don't think the Denver Broncos are going to do it. I think they're going to stick with what they have. I think it would be a good move, and I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. As much production as we've had out of Greg Dulcich, as much as we're not really getting out of Troutman, even though a fantastic catch last Sunday. I would love to have a wide receiving tight end option on this field, but I don't think the Broncos are going to do it. Just don't think he will. So
No, and that's another thing, Keith. Is do you block Dulcich going forward? If you get Ertz, do you block Dulcich when he comes back? Do you worry about what there with that, because those guys are vertical threats and not necessarily pass protecting tight ends? So you worry about, do you really want that to block Dulcich? Because you need to see Dulcich this year, what he's got. Can he be durable or not? It's simple. If he can't be durable, then you got to go out in this offseason. You got to acquire tight end that can be durable and can be that vertical threat that this team needs. So that's just something that you got to think about, I think, if you're Sean Payton and the Broncos.
Graham says, just a guess, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I would guess as well, yeah. Graham. To your point, man, if it happened to be, I think Zach Ertz is a better blocker than Dulcich, and I probably use him on a rotation because they're both injured. And if I can keep them rotating in and out, the downside is that means you're going to lose a Troutman or you're going to lose a Manhurts for sure in that rotation.
Those are Peyton guys.
And those are Peyton guys. So, again, I just don't think the math works out.
No.
Graham is also coming in and saying exactly, I really believe they're just going to roll with what they have, as evidenced by the lack of trade action. Yeah, another good point. No big trades at the trade deadline. Everyone was speculating. Everyone was putting out there. Sean Payton put a big old kibosh on that. And we moved on. So, and we moved on to continue to win and win and win. So, I mean, I guess we can't blame the guy. Kenny Kirkpatrick, just catching up on some comments, says, I would look because I can't say with confidence Dulcich can stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is I guess if you brought in a Zach Ertz, you're really not tied to him past the end of the year. So, it all depends on what he feels, this team's trajectory might look like, what their opportunity might look like in the playoffs if he buys into that. And again, if Sean Payton, George Payton, Walter Penner Group even decides they won't even want to pick up the phone. So,
here's my last comment on this, Keith. Why would the Broncos change up something that is working right now? Why would you bring in somebody else that, would be a great option to have, but what you're doing right now is working? I mean, we're seeing this offense starting to take steps up. So it's just again, it's Peyton guys. Peyton's really loyal to his players. So, and specifically guys that he's bringing in. So I don't know that, somebody he would want to mess up with that right now, because again, Ertz and Russ would have to get the chemistry down as well. And that's something where it's something you got to think about as we move towards later in the year. Do you want to deal with that now?
Yeah, you'd almost want a piece that has a little bit more chemistry if you're going to go down that path, right? It's different if you brought in some guy from Seattle that Wilson's been working with, kind of knows the ins and outs, knows how he thinks, right? All of a sudden you're bringing in a whole nother cog. But I got to tell you right now, man, I'm out. I'm done, because Pearl's coming in here with a little comment and says, and if this is true, man, I'm out. He says, Pearl's coming in saying, also several people have said he's a problem in the locker room. Yep. Well, if that's the case, I'm out. Thank you, Pearl. Appreciate it. I'm not leaving you guys. Oh, I hope you didn't take it as such. So, that being said, man, I'm gonna move along a little bit in this. Like I said, I want to bring this kind of back around because I think this is a big piece. I just don't want to run my head into a brick wall. And the reason being is this Houston Texans team is no joke. They can put up points whenever they want, it seems like, and however they want. Well, not how, maybe however they want, but they can put up points whenever they want. CJ Stroud is 100% no joke. Now, not to beat my own, toot my own horn. That's what it is. Toot my own horn. Not to toot my own horn, but I said straight off the bat, I would take CJ Stroud over Bryce Young. Liked him better. Liked what he brought. And I didn't think it would work out quite like this. Not the dichotomy between the two that we're seeing right now. Thought it would be a more even race, quite honestly. But CJ Stroud has just been playing out, ladies and gentlemen. And if you haven't seen any Houston Texans, which they don't get a whole lot of play, I implore you to go back and take a look and just see what this guy does and how he does it. This team can put up points, and if this Denver Broncos offense wants to stay in this game, I don't want to sit there and run my head into the wall trying to get a running game going that statistically shows it's not a very good concept or idea to go against. I think this is the game. We saw it a little bit last week where it was unlocked, where we saw more passing, where more than anything, I saw more checks from Russell Wilson once again. I saw him getting into the correct plays. He knows the offense. He knows what he's doing. I don't want to hear about handcuffed. I don't want to hear about him, getting a diluted playbook from Sean Payton anymore. I think he's getting more and more and more unlocked, and this is the week that they completely unlock the offense, and it's the time for Russell Wilson to take chances, throw the ball. Now, I did see a comment in here. I'll try to find it again. I'm not talking deep shots. I'm just talking about throwing the ball a high percentage of the time and not relying on the run so much. It might be going to running backs, but you got to be throwing the ball. And in my opinion, that's where the weakness is with this Houston Texans defense.
Yeah, Keith, did you see that? There was some sort of rumor out there that the Texans actually, if they had number one overall pick, they would have taken Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't think that it's a lot of, Bryce Young's getting a lot of hate right now for what's happening, but I don't think, again, he's not in the greatest position. So you wonder if those tides flip over to CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Bryce Young being in Houston and Stroud being with Panthers. You wonder how that would turn out. A lot of it's, I think, you're building your team up with your quarterback and put him in a great position. I don't think Carolina's doing that right now, and obviously Houston is, and Nick Ryan's done a great job there. But that's a little bit of interesting report coming out. A little bit of a rumor. I don't know how true it is or not, but I could see it honestly. So
yeah, you're just trying to get likes, shares, subscribes. No, we do, guys. Not to transition, but we do like your likes, shares, and subscribes. So thank you very much. But yeah, absolutely, bud. I could see it. It would make sense. Yeah. I mean, there was no doubt what the hype was around Bryce Young, and it all depends on where you fall.
Yeah.
In the team you fall and what the position that you get. Unfortunately, for those quarterbacks that are being taken at the very top of the first round, those teams are picking at the very top of the first round for a reason, right? And they're going to have holes, and those holes can be anywhere from holes on the roster to holes in coaching, to holes in general manager, to holes in ownership, and not everybody falls in the best position. And Bryce Young might be a product of not being in the best position. And CJ Stroud might be in the surprising position of being in a good position, because no one expected this team to be where they're at, competing like they are, playing how they have. And we'll flip over to this offensive side of the ball, maybe the Houston Texans here really quick. But I'm telling you guys, it's a team that you have to try to keep up with, and I just don't want to see us again run our head into a brick wall. I'm going to get caught up on some comments, and then we'll start talking some Houston offense, if that works for you, bud.
Yeah.
Kenny's coming in saying, I agree, Trevor. I was looking for some depth now that you're in the playoff talks. Kenny's coming in also saying this week is a big test for the Texans, though, as well. They lost a tough, hard-fought game last week to the Jaguars, just to let you know. How do they bounce back after that? That's a question for them as well.
Yeah.
Ernie Mays coming in, our good friend Ernie coming in saying CJ Stroud hasn't played the Broncos. He will fold like a deck of cards. I also said that I wanted to get back to a comment that kind of was around what I was talking about on the Denver Bronco offense. It was James Green that was our new friend that came in from Kentucky, if I remember correctly, coming in saying, I really think they are on a roll. I just don't think that throwing the ball down the field is the way to go. 10 to 12 yards is what got us here, in my opinion. Kind of like I was saying, I'm not talking about deep shots necessarily, but I don't think that running the ball is necessarily the way to go. Another one, I wanted to get back to these because you guys are just like blowing up the comments, which we love, and bring on the questions as well. Let me see if I can find it really quick because I thought this was pretty funny the way this played out. One right after the other, but I'm going to do the second one first. Pearl Heater says the Broncos have been notoriously bad on screens. How about some fun trick plays? And about the same time, Graham came in and said, reverse sweep handoff. So there you go. You got your answer, Pearl. Maybe that's what we got going on. I'll be honest. It better be a handoff and not a toss play. That's all I got to say. I've seen that blow up for the Broncos. I saw it blow up in favor of the Broncos last week. So, let's not do that one. Make sure you hand it off.
Why don't we just have some? Why don't we just have some Russell Wilson RPOs? I think that's a spot's fancy. I want to
go. Trevor is not a fan of any of your trick plays, Pearl. Sorry. Finishing up in these comments, I think the wristband has really helped Wilson's game. I agree, Roger, and I think Trevor's in a good agreement as well. Graham coming in saying throwing the ball and not only relying on Sutton. 100% there. We'll jump back to the Denver Broncos offense because I thought of it something earlier I could get back to. Graham saying the owner of there in Carolina, my oh my. If you don't know, go research. Absolutely, Graham. Michael saying David Trapper is the Carolina Panthers owner. That gives you the name to go research. Graham saying Russell Wilson, fake punt. Oh, right. No. Maybe Russell Wilson, fake punt. And Jeremy round us out saying, I heard Sean Payton dumb down the offense, much like VJ, in the way that he dumbed down the defense. Either way, it works, coming in from Jeremy. I think he did to begin with, but I think those are being released a little bit more. So this is what I have for you, Trevor. I want you to rank, I don't care, by yards, by reception, just by overall impact maybe, because sometimes receptions and yards are somewhat, bad statistics on the overall outcome or the influence a player has on the game. But I want you to rate our receivers in this game, and then I'll have a follow-up question for us.
Yeah, so I would obviously, I think you have to rate Courtland Sutton 1. I just think his production over the past couple of weeks has been huge, and this is also coming to effect when the Broncos have not been a pass-heavy team. So you're getting the fact that you're getting that much of production out of him right now is great, and we haven't seen that from Courtland Sutton in a while. So it's great to see not only a rejuvenated Russell Wilson, obviously, but also a Courtland Sutton coming back and just being great and very productive when everybody was down on him. Or most people should say. I would say probably. I think Jerry Jeudy would be number 2 for sure. I think that Jerry Jeudy, those you talk about those 10-yard plays, not necessarily deep shots, but those 10-yard plays. He's got the speed, I think, to middle field kind of routes there. He would be a guy that I would definitely target there. So how many? Shall we what rank and just all of them, or just
top 3, man? Top three. Who's your top 3? I'm sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, it's in my head. Sometimes what's in my head doesn't always come out out into the microphone. But yeah, give me your top 3 receivers and their impact on this game. So we got Sutton, got Jeudy.
Yep, and then I would say, and this might be a surprise to somebody, Samaje Perine. Samaje Perine, to me, just again, I think he's one of the better overall running backs Broncos have. So actually, and I think it's a great pickup week by week by Sean Payton by picking up Samaje Perine. He's done a great job, I think, just being effective with those screens and just those short yardages. He really fights for it. His pass blocking, he just offers so much to the team, veteran presence. For the most part, he's going to take care of the football, and you just love having that veteran presence around. And he's been, around a winning organization in Cincinnati, so he knows what it takes to win. He knows the grind. So I love Samaje Perine as my third target. I just think he's impacts the game in so many different ways, and really a guy that I think Russell Wilson's starting to trust more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, I would 100% agree, and the reason I would 100% agree, and I put Kenny's comment up on the screen for anybody that's watching, maybe not just listening. Kenny comes in and kind of dovetails right off of what we're talking about. He says, another question of the Texans coaches, if I'm the Texans coach, is I'm stopping Sutton any way I can. Who has to take the place of Sutton this week on offense if that happens? So, Trevor, you nailed it. Obviously, Sutton should be the go-to guy. He's been the go-to guy. He's been the solid guy. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Sutton up there as my number one as well. My number two, I'm going to go exactly where you went on number three. And it's no surprise to me, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody else. Samaje Perine has been stepping up, and I'm glad because here's a guy that I really thought was going to be a big key cog part in this game for the Denver Broncos offense. And man, has he been. He's really been stepping it up, especially last week. I think he continues, especially within this offense. He brings a great ability to run block, pass block. He can run the ball. He can catch out of the backfield. He's kind of that all-tool type of guy. Again, I think I mentioned this last week, not great at anything, but good at almost everything. That's the type of guy that plays out well. My number three guy, we talked about it a little bit earlier, at least as far as the position is concerned. I think Adam Troutman needs to continue to step up, and getting back to what our friend was talking earlier from Kentucky, all of a sudden I forget names. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. But I'll pull the name if I can. But getting back to what he was saying, good old James Green from Kentucky, he was saying the 10 to 12-yard pass. Well, that's why I'm talking about a running back. That's why I'm talking about a tight end. And, of course, you got to have that wide receiver option as far as Courtland Sutton and just what he's been able to do every single week. So those are my top three, and that's how I'm ranking them down. Again, I think this could be a big week. One of the questions one of the answers that came in was from Pearl, and maybe you can answer this really quick for Pearl. What do you think about Mims in this game, bud? Uh-oh, I think you might be on mute, bud.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was coughing.
Oh, there you go. That's the first time you ever did that, man.
First and hopefully the last. No, with Marvin Mims, I think, I think in this game, Marvin Mims just really has a big impact on the Broncos more than some may think. I know it doesn't show up necessarily in the stats and stuff like that, but his punt return and kick returns, he just does such a great job. His speed is something that we've not seen in a while. The Broncos have been looking for that for a long time, and just being able to take care of the football, he's done such a great job. I think this is the week that if you're going to try to get Marvin Mims into the game and trying to use his speed, maybe you do take those shots down for it. I definitely want to see this team start taking shots down the field. And I think Marvin Mims, you got at some point in time, you got to start really utilizing him in this offense. We still haven't seen it. Marvin Mims, mainly his impact has been on special teams. We've got to start seeing, I think, Sean Payton start getting Marvin Mims a little bit more involved in the offense. He's talked about it. He knows it. Now, again, that's why I'm saying it's really hard to necessarily talk about it. It's hard to actually do it because you have a formula now that's working. Do you go a little bit away from that and try to stretch that out by involving Marvin Mims? I mean, again, he's your second-round draft pick, so you definitely have to, think about that. So I think Marvin Mims is definitely in this game. It possibly could be pretty big. I think a couple of deep shots downfield for sure. And special teams, he'll definitely be an impact on special teams for sure.
There you go. You got it all right there, Pearl. I agree, but I think that he's big on special teams, but, man, we'd love to see him being opened up. I'm going to jump over to Young Tyrone. Young Tyrone, I think this is the first time jumping in, says, do you know an update on Jerry Jeudy? Is he going to play on Sunday? Tyrone, he was a full participant today. They said that he was working out much, much better. Of course, he was limited. He's been dealing with a growing. So full participant on Friday. I'm really hoping that he can step up and take the field. Jerry Jeudy should be a key piece to this Denver Broncos team. And if Jerry Jeudy can go out there and he can perform at his best, this Sunday, I think he could have a big, big day. But Jerry Jeudy just doesn't seem like he's been able to get out there, get on the field, get the touches, be open, get Russell Wilson's eye, whatever it happens to be. Jerry Jeudy just hasn't been the production, but he should have that there. Kenny Kirkpatrick on his top 3 is Jeudy, P. Ryan, Sutton. He says, DeMeco Ryan is going to have something, is going to do everything possible to shut down Sutton, in my opinion. So look out for that. You wanted to jump in on that as well, bud?
Yeah, so what I was going to say with Jerry Jeudy, at some point in time, you got to think he's going to pop up in this offense. I mean, the potential of Jerry Jeudy, we've been talking about it since he's been drafted. I mean, this guy's a first-round draft pick for a reason. At some point in time, he's got to pop off. And I don't know if this next game or when it's going to be. Maybe it's the playoffs. I mean, but Jerry Jeudy at some point in time, he's definitely got to step up. And we need to see him, I think, winning his routes. And I just don't think he's doing that right now. And I think a lot of it comes to that trust between a quarterback and the receiver, and I just don't think he's got Russ's trust right now, 100%. I think Russ's safety blanket is Courtland Sutton, no doubt about it. But why is that? Because they have that bond, they have that chemistry together, they know each other, and it's just like I don't think that's necessarily happening with Jerry Jeudy right now, and I think that's a large part of why we're seeing Jerry Jeudy's production not be where we want it to be right now.
Well, Kenny's going to come in here and he's going to throw a wrench in your idea. At least he's hoping for a turnaround from Jerry Jeudy. He says Jerry Jeudy has this breakout game, in my opinion, this week. Goes for 100 yards and at least one touchdown. Graham's jumping in here off of YouTube saying, always love when P. Ryan is on the field. I would have to agree. I want to jump to this comment. I'll get your thoughts on this as well. Maybe I'll tag in a little bit at the end as well, but young Tyrone coming in here and says, with Brandon Johnson coming back, how much do you think he's going to impact this team? Trevor. I'll preface this really quick. Obviously we've talked about Sutton and we talked about wanting Jerry Jeudy out there. We've talked about Mims. Little Jordan Humphreys got a little bit involved. We were wanting a pass receiving tight end. I'm trying to get the ball over to running backs at every turn. So is there a spot for Brandon Johnson to rise up off this depth chart? A guy that put 3 TDs up pretty quick before he got injured and make an impact, on Sunday versus the Texans.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to have to – Brandon Johnson's going to have to definitely earn his playing time back, though, because now you have so many different wide receivers, and then you have Troutman emerging. Yeah, P. Ryan emerging as a guy that Russell Wilson can rely on. Brandon Johnson right now is probably just depth, I would say right now. And that's great depth to have. That's great. That's a good problem. You definitely want depth right now, all season long. But I think that Brandon Johnson downfield definitely makes a lot of sense. He's that big threat, in my opinion, that is kind of a Courtland Sutton-esque type player. But again, I think it's hard for me right now to really pencil him in as like, okay, this is a guy that is going to get some real playing time just because he's been out so long, and you do have a formula now that's been working with this offense. And again, I think we're starting to see more chemistry with Russell Wilson and the wide receivers and tight ends and the running backs. We're starting to see this whole offense just gain chemistry. I just don't know that you want to do that with Brandon Johnson right now. You want to impact that, but definitely he's got to be ready to go if an injury happens. And we're starting to see that with Jerry Jeudy right now. So down the road, maybe, but right now, probably just depth.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to push him into the lineup. I'm not forcing him in there. I'm not trying to take away any touches from the guys that have been getting touches thus far. But I could see him having a little Jordan Humphreys type of role where he catches one ball this Sunday and, comes up big for us and the whole 9 yards. Maybe it's a touchdown. Maybe it's not. He's been kind of touchdown prone, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm going to jump through the comments, guys, because you guys have been blowing up the board and I appreciate it, but I feel like I'm getting behind. This one I got to get to. What's up, boys? Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. Let's go. That's Mr. Kurt Valente. That's my best impression of him. Again, Kurt Valente is got that fantastic Broncos podcast Wednesday nights. Check him out, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, if I remember correctly. That's when I catch it. But 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, K&K Sports Show. Kurt Valente, man, let's go, buddy. Let's get that clap going on, man. I appreciate it. So, got our good friend Patrick Wiltsey coming in here saying, aloha, boys. Aloha. A little cheers with a little bit of coffee for Mr. Patrick Wiltsey as well. So appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you coming in here. Ernie Mays coming in here and says, "You guys are awesome. Remember, believe in our Broncos 1 week at a time." Love it, love it.
Yeah.
Right on point. Kenny coming in here and saying, clapping for Kurt joining the party. Appreciate it. Look, Kurt's giving us a big clap back. Jody Moncrief's coming in saying Brandon Johnson will be back on Sunday. That's a sneaky impact guy, so he thinks he might have an opportunity there, guys. Again, just trying to get caught up on some of these. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying Brandon Johnson is our down the field guy too. 100%. Man, Brandon Johnson, underrated. I was literally just talking, thinking, chatting. I can't remember where I was bringing this up, but having a conversation nonetheless and thinking Brandon Johnson might be the closest Tim Patrick replacement we have on this team. Makes me feel like a Tim Patrick. Little Jordan Humphreys, maybe a second to Brandon Johnson, but what he brought on the field, the way he grabs balls, snatches balls, Mr. Reliable, catching those 3 touchdowns, that's who he reminds me of. I love to get him worked all the way back up onto the field, get on the, getting some meaningful touches, but I think it's going to take some time. As Trevor mentioned, I think Russell Wilson has built some chemistry, and I don't think you want to necessarily disrupt that. We talked about Zach Ertz earlier. That would be maybe the ultimate disruption, but you don't want to even have, all of a sudden be forcing a guy like Brandon Johnson in. But hey, we're just a couple of guys trying to figure it out. We never know what Sean Payton's got drawn up. You guys might have it all nailed on, and Michael Ronquillo might be right. It might be down the field to Brandon Johnson all night, all day long. Rogers coming in with a little bit of a downer. 11 a.m. has never been good for the Broncos. I just hope we pull it off. And Pearl's coming in and saying, always a first. Always a first. So,
did you, Keith, before I think we missed the comment, young Tyrone, he had the NFL stealing players' money. Did you see that comment?
Sure, I'll pull it up. I see it up above. I haven't read it yet, but I'll throw it up on the screen, and I'll let you take it first. Do you think the NFL is stealing players' money? Some of these fines are outrageous. I think they're picking on Kareem Jackson. Good point, young Tyrone. Appreciate you joining in here. Trevor's going to come at you with his answer right about now.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get to that right before we get into the pregame in the Houston game a little bit. So I think right now I want to say they're picking on Kareem Jackson because I think Kareem Jackson needs to learn how to properly tackle, and I think Kareem's just kind of back. He's kind of back in his day a little bit where the NFL wasn't as strict with hits. So I think that Kareem is just a veteran. He's got to figure it out. Now it's not easy to figure out because if it was, then Kareem Jackson wouldn't be in the spot right now. There was a report earlier this week that Kareem Jackson is flying to New York to meet with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to get more clarity on the suspension. So I think Kareem is definitely getting more where he's trying to really figure it out. And that's what I really like, that passion for Kareem, because he's definitely one of those guys that wants to be on the field. He is a natural leader, and this team is going to need him down the stretch and his leadership on the field. So, it makes me feel better with that. But I think just NFL, they definitely going to have to reevaluate how hits go and what's a big hit on a guy and what's not. Because I think that, right now it's really kind of confidential where it's like we don't know if it can be you're going to throw a flag or not, and a lot of it I think is based on reaction, and we just don't know. And with the refs, it's probably hard for them to kind of gauge with that because all they do have is the reaction time of the player getting hit, so they're going to throw the flag. So we'll see. It's kind of something down the line that we're going to have to definitely monitor. But I definitely wanted to kind of jump to that comment right there because I had it pulled up here. So thanks for the question, though, young Tyrone. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, we love the comments. We love the questions. Young Tyrone's bringing them. Appreciate it very much. And my thought on this, it needs to be relegated in some form or fashion because not everyone is basically working for free like Kareem Jackson is. For one, when you're suspending a guy, you're suspending him without pay. This is a guy that signed a $5 million contract, and he's already been fined $89,000, and he's not getting paid every time he's suspended. So this guy is not racking up a whole lot of income. I think it needs to be relative to how much they're paid, and I don't think it should be, again, this guy, is on the verge of having almost no reason to take the field. I can tell you, if I was Roger Goodell, I'd be like, well, put your hands out in front of you. Put your hands out in front of you, man. He likes to torpedo right in there, helmet first, and it doesn't help his cause when that's the first play he does, coming right back from a suspension. So Michael Ronquillo just giving us a little heads up that Tim Patrick was on the Broncos sideline during the Broncos game. Always love to hear.
Yeah.
Pearl, I know this is a Pearl. Sorry for the delay, guys. But Pearl comes in and says, but someone else will step up. Not a fan of Jerry Jeudy. Brandon Johnson is our down the field guy. We already brought that up. All right, guys. I'm getting behind on comments because I went to that other one. This is a really cool thing. I like this, man. Michael Ronquillo. I got my undrafted running back, Jaleel McLaughlin, Broncos orange jersey today. Congratulations, Michael, man. That's a nice little addition, man. I'll give you a little clap on that. That brings me over to a question I'll give Trevor then real quick. Anybody else can jump in, man. I don't know what you have, but if you were to have a jersey underneath your Christmas tree this Christmas, whose jersey would it be, man?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think I'm a big fan of PS2. I love Patrick Surtain. It's kind of fitting because that's our intro there. That's the background. But I love Patrick Surtain. I was a guy that really wanted Denver to keep him. I think he's a generational cornerback that just not come around that often, and I just big fan of him. Just he takes care of himself on and off the field really well. He's involved in the Denver community really well. He's a guy that just really loves being in Denver, and he said he wants to retire Bronco already, and he's really young still. So, I mean, he's got a lot of football ahead of him, and he's already talked about retiring a Bronco. I love it, and Patrick Surtain, he's definitely a guy that, is down to earth, and he's just a pro all the way around.
Yeah. Fantastic choice, man. Fantastic choice. I love it. Ernie Mays is coming in with his choice. You're going new school. He's jumping over to old school real quick, man. He's jumping over and saying Steve Atwater, number 27. Not a bad choice at all, bud. I'll be honest, man. I know I got the Elway jersey kind of hanging up behind me, so it's tattered, it's torn, it's anything special. That's why it's hanging up in the background as it is. I'd like to have a beautiful one at some day, but if I had to choose one, and it's just because of who I was, who I had admired, the time that I grew up, I'm gonna go way back, kind of like Ernie Mays does, and I'm gonna get myself a Carl Mecklenburg jersey, man. I was just a huge fan and admired him, tried to play like him on the field, and always wanted to be that everything type of guy that he portrayed. There was nothing below him. There was nothing that he didn't try to step up and do. So that's my shout out, I guess, and my wish underneath the Christmas tree. I got to give a big shout out to James, because James came in here and says, I really love this podcast. You guys are very knowledgeable. Well, man, appreciate you, James. We try to do our best. We're a couple of guys that got other things going on in our life, but we put our love and our passion into this and really try to get prepared, try to bring you guys a fantastic shows. He also asked, when do you guys come on? Every week? Well, the nice thing is you can catch us 3 times a week. 3 times a week currently, so we come on our Friday nights, every single Friday night, typically about a 6:45 Mountain Standard Time start time. We have our Sunday post-game show. That usually comes on in the evening, kind of like a 6 o'clock type of start, you know what I mean, for a game like that. But just watch for it. It's usually, when it's those 2 o'clock games, we're trying to go directly after. Might be a little bit more delayed, and we might be still after that 2 o'clock game this week. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Keep your eyes posted for that. Our original show, the Denver Bronco Roundup, the way it all came to inception, was trying to round up everything that happened from the weekend, making sure that we had Sunday and Monday in the books. So it's a Tuesday show. So Tuesday, 7 o'clock, Mountain Standard Time, Denver Bronco Roundup. You can always catch us then. Thanks so much for the support, James, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to give ourselves a little bit of a plug here. So more names jumping in here. Roger just wants to come in and say, give a shout out to our O-line, man. They have done a great job, especially my Utah Utes, Garrett Bowles. Absolutely, man. I'll be honest, man. Grew up most of my life in Utah. Always watched the Utes because I was always a Utes over a BYU fan. I even watch a little bit of Weber State, Utah State as well. So uh, Jordan Love, just for instance, guy that came out of Utah, know all about him as well. But absolutely, Garrett Bowles has stepped up. Lloyd Cushenberry has stepped up. We expected a lot from Powers. He's done well. McGlinchey has turned it around throughout the season. Miners, probably our top offensive lineman all season long. This offensive line has done a fantastic job, and they've been a key part of this run down the stretch. So absolutely, I'll give it up to that. I'll give this one to you. With Williams and Pirine playing so hard, or playing so well, it's hard to get McLaughlin more carries. But when we do, we need to be more creative with him. How do we get McLaughlin more involved for Martin? Martin's a new name I haven't seen in here before. So, Martin, thanks for jumping in on YouTube as well. Trevor, how do we get Jaleel McLaughlin more involved in this offense? We'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of reason we're not seeing McLaughlin kind of part of the field. I think is more and less, and you just kind of see P. Ryan starting to get more snaps is because of the pass block. So going forward, McLaughlin's definitely going to have to improve on that. I think if he wants to see the field more in any offense, but with McLaughlin, I think screens you can use them when you're running the ball, but again, it's just like P. Ryan's running the ball so hard and just really great that it's just like McLaughlin's a guy you can wait on a little bit because again he's a guy that's going to probably be around again next year. You have P. Ryan, he's around this year. He's your veteran. You're starting to make that playoff push. I wonder if Sean Payton's kind of go more towards the P. Ryan route, but I think definitely with McLaughlin, I think just running the football just straight up the gut for sure because he's got the blazing speed that you want. But I think screens, are perfect. I think for McLaughlin too because he's got speed and you have blockers out in front of him that can block really well. Our offensive line's been great. So I think that those are ways you can utilize them, I think, within this offense.
I got a quick two-part on this. A, he needs to be out there and never get the ball because that's a big telltale sign. And in order to do that, that means that B, he's got to get good at least assisting and blocking. He's got to be able to go out there and help a McGlinchey, help a Bowles, step up in the middle, help a Miners, help a Powers, whatever it happens to be. He's got to be good at blocking, being able to read it, and at least be able to assist or slow down. If he's doing that, then all of a sudden he'll have opportunities because they don't know that, here comes Jaleel McLaughlin. Is it going to be a run to him, a pass to him, a screen to him, a reverse to him, whatever it happens to be? We need to find ways to have him on the field and him not be the only option within that particular play. So they do that, I think they'll have a chance to see him go out there and be productive. But again, I don't know if I want to disrupt what's been going on to this point. Michael Ronquillo over on YouTube saying he has a number 27 Atwater Broncos blue jersey. Ernie May saying, man, all of a sudden this is going to be like a brag show. He says, I got an Elway jersey and a Terrell Davis and an Ed McCaffrey.
Wow.
Heck yeah. James Green coming in. What he wants underneath the tree is a Shannon Sharp. Oh, man. Yeah. Would love a Shannon Sharp, man.
Love Shannon Sharp.
Good call out here, man. Pearl, man. Can't show you enough appreciation. Has come in from day one and just showing great appreciation for the show up on the screen. She's coming in on Facebook saying, I love this show, and a big thank you with three big hearts. Thank you so much. Kenny's coming in saying simply the best. Young Tyrone coming in saying Garrett Bowles did good locking up Myles Garrett.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if there isn't a bigger test out there, I don't know what there is. Myles Garrett had been playing, lights out, and I know that he got injured, but at no point did that man have an impact on the game last week. Martin's coming in saying, could we use McLaughlin a little bit more on special teams? That's a good, interesting point. If Marvin Mims wasn't doing so well out there, I would think about that option. But, maybe as a gunner, something like that, yeah, there might be some opportunity there as well. But, honestly, that guy, I think he's in that tweener. It's like, he's almost too good to be being utilized that much on special teams, but he's not good enough to be seeing enough touches in the offense on a consistent basis. So,
he's
young. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, and I'm just going to say McLaughlin's that guy in the pipeline. That's a guy that down the road you can definitely develop, and he's going to have to develop his pass blocking if he wants any shot in this offense. So I think Denver doesn't have to be forced to use him this year because you have emergency P. Ryan now. So I think McLaughlin definitely in the pipeline as far as running back. He's definitely a guy that I think you could see this Broncos team really start to develop and use more. I think definitely going into future years.
Yeah, I mean, P. Ryan's not probably a long-term solution. Obviously, you want Javonte to be there, but I don't see there's any reason to be moving on from Jaleel McLaughlin.
No.
It's all about how you can utilize these individual tools. You think, honestly, I think about a team like the San Francisco 49ers and how they have all these different weapons and tools and pieces and parts and how they can utilize them in all these different ways. I'd love to be at that point. Tyrone's coming in with his brag. He's saying, I got Cortland Sutton, Von Miller, Atwater jersey. Man, that's a good lineup, man. If you had to pick three right out of the old hat, man, I would take those in a second, man. So Kenny's wanting Miss Pearl's onion rings under his tree. Those onion rings are good luck for sure. And she's coming in saying, I'll have them ready for Sunday. Man, we've talked a ton. I can't believe how much time's gone by. We still have a lot that I'd love to get to, but I don't know how much we'll have time to get to it. I wanted to talk about CJ Stroud. I wanted to talk about this offense. I wanted to talk about what they do and how they do it. And if you guys don't know, and if you're watching on Sunday and you're sitting there looking around and saying, man, this looks familiar. This looks like, man, it just seems like I've seen this before. Well, the type of offense that they run is a Shanahan offense, guys. Shanahan offense is going to have a lot of play action. It's going to have a lot of rollout. It's going to have a lot of passes down the field. It's going to have, obviously those running plays, but their run game hasn't been very effective as so far. They've been relying a lot on CJ Stroud. So when I think about what I see, think about, Elway in his good years, rolling out, maybe without a Terrell Davis, that's what I see in this Denver Broncos type of offense. So that being said, CJ Stroud has went in and taken a very complex offense and seems to be processing at a very high rate. He's quick with his reads. He's quick with his arm. And one thing that he's also quick with that we haven't even seen necessarily is he's quick with his legs. This Denver Broncos defense is going to have its hands full. So talking about this Houston Texans offense and this Denver Broncos defense all wrapped into one, Trevor, how is this going to play out? We talked about the offense and what it needs to do, the holes on the Houston Texans defense and how we can maybe exploit it. You have one idea, I have another. How's it play out on the other side of the ball, bud?
Yeah, so I think definitely with Stroud, I think you definitely have to be aware. He's a guy that really can makes plays. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes, and I know that some people are like, well, Patrick Mahomes is so rare, nobody can be the next Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he is Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying the way he scrambles outside the pocket, he makes plays. He's looking for plays. He extends plays out really well. I think that CJ Stroud, just he does a great job, getting the ball out quickly and just he just sees the field so well, and it's something that we just don't see from rookie quarterbacks that often. But I actually wonder a little bit, and I was thinking about this before we did the show. I actually wonder if Houston's not going to run the ball more than we think that they will. Because the reason I say that is because the Browns last week they went a little bit pass heavy. Mm-hmm. How'd that work for them?
Oh, true.
And last week, their running back, the Browns running back, he went 7.2 yards per carry last week against the Broncos, and then the Browns went completely against him. And they went towards the pass, towards the pass, and then that did not turn out well. Jerome Ford as the running back that I'm talking about with the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, I just wonder if Houston's not going to try to attack the Broncos' running game and trying to really make
defense,
run defense, and see if Denver can stop the run, because again that worked so well with Cleveland last week but they went against it for whatever reason. I think it really lost in the game. So I wonder if Houston's not going to learn from that, and they're not going to go more, hey, let's test out Denver's defense, I guess, a run, and let's see if they can stop that. Because if they can't, this is probably the tide's kind of turned a little bit, opens up the pass a little bit more for Stroud. Because again, if you're going to go more pass heavy, are you playing to the Broncos' strengths on that? Because of the pass rush you have, and the Broncos play well against the pass. They've shut down Mahomes. They've shut down Josh Allen. I mean, that just makes you wonder. I just think that I could see Houston being a little bit more run friendly than they have been in weeks past.
Very good, man. So that'll bring me to a great question. I'll get to a few comments. I was catching up on a few just as you were talking. Ernie Mays was saying Terrell Davis was the greatest running back ever. I now have Pearl's comment up on the screen saying, agree, my favorite. Young Tyrone coming in saying, I like Clinton Portis and Tatum Bell. I was such a Clinton Portis fan.
Yeah.
I was such a Clinton Portis fan, young Tyrone. I'm telling you, man, I was so upset when they traded Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey. Little did I know, you know what I mean? But at the time, running back was a premium. We had the hardest time trying to find him. We went through a drought before Terrell Davis. We got really lucky after, but Clinton Portis, man, he was the man from the start. Love that guy, and I'm glad it worked out as well as it did for us. Let's just put it that way, man. Always respected Clinton Portis and everything that he did in Washington as well. So, gotta give. Hey, I said we had one quarter in here earlier. Here's the third quarter, the fourth quarter, the second quarter. I don't know. It's one quarter of them. It's Albert Knopper's coming in saying, "Howdy, y'all." They have to be aggressive in the rushing. I'm missing you, Albert. So be stout in the rushing attack, I guess.
Oh, and pass, yeah, good getting after Stroud. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh, gotcha. Jeremy Dressler coming in saying Walter Payton and then Terrell Davis. We'll get into predictions in a second because Albert's already coming in with his as well, and you guys have been fantastic coming in the comments, so continue with that. I'll ask just a quick question just to get to it because Michael Ronquillo is a big supporter. He says, do you guys think this would be Courtland Sutton's last season if he doesn't sign if he doesn't sign with the team after the 2023 NFL season? Do you think this is the last year for Sutton?
Well, Sutton's not a free agent after the end of the year. He's a free agent after the 2025 season. He has a potential buyout, or I should say the Broncos can cut him with a $7.6 million dead cap hit, so they can cut him. But he's still under contract until 2025 if the Broncos do decide to keep Sutton around. Which again, him and Russell Wilson, having that connection, I don't see a reason to really get rid of Courtland Sutton right now unless you're specifically going towards the cap hit and really trying to create cap space. But I don't see you're not going to really find them much better. I don't think receiver and that connection with Russell Wilson is pretty special. I don't think I'd be giving up Sutton right now. I'll probably keep him around at least as long as Russell Wilson's a Denver Bronco.
I'm gonna agree with Trevor. I don't care if his contract's up, if we can cut him, if he has an out in his contract, if we need to re-sign him at the end of this year, I'd try to find a way to bring Courtland Sutton around. What he's done so far this year has been as close as a return to his 2019 season, I believe it was, that he came out and was just absolutely fantastic. That's as close as we've seen. Young Tyrone saying, no, they pay Courtland Sutton. He finishes 15 to 18 TDs. Young Tyrone saying he likes Barry Sanders on TD. So I appreciate that, Young Tyrone. We're going to get back to this Houston game and wrap it up, man. All right, bud. Score prediction has to be a part of this. But that being said, how do you see this game truly playing out, man? How do you see it all congealing, coming together, and squeezing out in the very end of this early morning Sunday morning start? So,
yeah, I think it's important in this game. I think the Texans are a little bit ahead of schedule, so you wonder, are they really up for this type of game? You're going against a Broncos team that just has been on a tear recently, and again, Stroud has not faced this good of a pass rushing defense in a while, and no doubt VJ is going to be putting pressure on him. But again, they're going to have to stop the run too. I see this game coming out as I think the Broncos will take care of business on the road. Again, this is a team that's really They've done a great job taking care of business on the road. You come back to that game against Buffalo. That's a game that we wouldn't win a year or two ago, and we found a way to win that game, and it's been great. And I think that the environment, everything is in Denver's favor. So I think I think Broncos will definitely win this one. I think in this game, I think Houston will. I think they will try to attack the Broncos defense with the run, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them kind of try to stick to that, because that's an offense that seems like when they have something going, they want to stick to it, and I think that if you can avoid that, what happened to the Browns last week, and then in Houston, that's probably what you do. As far as Broncos offense wise, I think that Russell Wilson, I just think again you're going to have confidence in him to throw the ball downfield a little bit. This is again to kind of do that. I don't think the Texans defense is great to what we've seen in weeks past. I know they've been playing good and everything, but they've not been. I don't think they're a great defense. So I think that you can attack in the passing game. I would try to keep it a balanced attack as much as possible. Overall, I think this is a game that I think is 28-17 Broncos. I think it's a pretty comfortable win, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. Just no game is a blowout game in the NFL. But I do think the Broncos have had that chemistry on offense. We're starting to see this offense be more balanced and just continue to get better week by week. And so I think Sean Payton will scheme this offense up in a way that will definitely help take care of business on the road against Houston Texans team, because I think you have to. Probably the biggest game that we've had in a while. Playoff type game.
This is the biggest playoff game we've had.
Yeah.
In years.
Yeah.
And it's sitting right in the middle of the season. If we win this game, as I stumble over my list, as the statistics were pointed out earlier, you go from like a 60% chance of making the playoffs to like a 20% chance of making the playoffs, just to make it round numbers. Man, this is a big, big, big game. This is what I see, guys. This Denver Broncos defense absolutely needs to get after CJ Stroud. I was thinking about quotes from movies before I got on the podcast tonight, and I was thinking of Apollo Creed talking to Rocky, telling him, I believe against the Russian, Dolph Lundgren, played by Dolph Lundgren, I forget his name all of a sudden. But that being said, telling him, you can't let him breathe. Don't let him breathe. That's the type of game that we need to have. We cannot let him breathe. I want him on the run. I want him pressured. This is the week that we dial it up on defense and we get into the backfield. We got to have all hands on deck. I don't care if it's DJ Jones, Zach Allen, Matt Henningsen, you name it. We need to have pressure on this quarterback all game long. Nick Bonito, Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, big games for you guys, man. This guy can escape the pocket quite easily. They do a lot of play action pass, and with that, they have him rolling out a ton. Need to be able to keep him in check. Big game, but I think we need to stay after them. That being said, no reason the turnovers can't continue, in my opinion. That's how you continue these turnovers going. On the offensive side of the game, guys, I talked about it. I have no faith in this being a run game for the Denver Broncos. I was listening to 104.3 The Fan. Good friend of mine, met him over at Denver Broncos training camp. Cecil Lamley was in there coming in saying, hey, man, we need to keep this close. You don't want to get too far out in front. You don't want to get too far behind. This Houston Texans team is a team that can turn it on at any moment. You don't basically want to tempt the bear, in order to do that. Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. You come out and you're firing and you're going down the field and you're putting up points. And if you get up 21-0 on the Houston Texans, I guarantee this Denver Broncos defense can feast. They can get after that quarterback. They don't have to be worried about the run at all. The way to get after this team and the way to get a win is to get after this team both offensively and defensively and do it quick. So that being said, that's my game plan for the game. Got to give a shout out because Young Tyrone, Rocky, classic movie. I 100% agree, buddy. I can't ever get enough of Rocky. Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. Did start falling off after I think about Rocky 6, I think, and I got to get caught up on some Apollo Creed stuff. But that being said, man, love those classic Rockies. So, Ernie Mays coming in saying, remember and believe. Pearl's coming in saying, just win, but it will not be by much. Close game. I'm telling you guys, I'm kind of in agreement right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call a big game for the Denver Broncos. There's going to be a 34-28 win for the Denver Broncos. It's going to be tighter than that. You know, those 8 points are giving you false hope in that, I guess you could say, in that big score. But I'm telling you guys, I think it's going to be a shootout in Houston. Texans are no joke. They can be in every single game, but I think we need to get out front. I think that we need to keep scoring. I think we need to pile it on, and I think this is the game that the handcuffs are completely off. I said they've been building and building and building. I love what Russell Wilson is doing, especially even last week. Checked into like the correct play, I would say 95% of the time. He understands the offense. It's time to say it's a passing type of game. I'm calling a Denver Bronco 34-28 win, guys. Michael Ronquillo jumping in and saying 27 Broncos, Texans 20. Love that as well. Haven't seen a negative Broncos loss in here at all, so that's fantastic. One last time coming in, young Tyrone saying, Mr. Teenline was your prediction for the game. Payne, our defense is good. Yeah, I love it, buddy. I love it. Prediction for the game, Payne. Our defense is good. Yeah. Trevor, man, we've went a little bit long, but we've had fantastic comments, and you guys have been wonderful. We appreciate you guys a ton, but we do need to wrap it up. So I'm going to throw it over to Trevor, give him a little bit of time to wrap up, and maybe get him some time to get well and get feeling better, a little bit of rest. So, Trevor, thanks for joining us. Please give us a little bit of comments and get us out of here a little bit.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for joining in. You guys make this possible. We really enjoy having you guys in here, and more people, the better. And, we'd really love reading your comments and questions. It really makes our day, and this is why we do it. It's for you guys. So, we win, we lose, we're all in this together. So just continue to remember that. But you can catch us on our next show on Sunday after a game. Again, just, be subscribed, like, share, all that stuff. You'll get notifications on that as soon as we're live. You hop in. It's honestly, for some of your newcomers here, it's something really it's a little bit different show when it comes to post game on Sunday. We really have a great cast and crew and a lot of really enthusiastic people, and just really excited for that show and excited for Bronco win. I think in particular game wise, I think the Broncos are going to have to stop the run. If they can stop the run in this game, I think it'll go a long way, because I think Houston will attack the Broncos' weakness, and that's been the stopping the run. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think the Broncos, again, you already had a large part, the toughest part of your schedule. You played the Chiefs, you played Buffalo. You have a lot of those teams that have had just been really consistent and really just a winnable organization the past couple years. And Houston, they're still trying to find their stride. So this needs to be a game that you take care of business, no playing around, play your football, play what got you here, because that's going to go a long ways. And just continue to believe. And I like to say, just great Broncos country deserves playoffs. That this is what this team can do. There's no doubt about it. They've shown it already. So I just can't wait for a big game on Sunday, and hope to see you guys in our post game show. And go Broncos!
Absolutely, man. Trevor coming in here. Man, hats off to you, man. I'll give a big shout out to all our fans, but coming in here, sick as a dog, coming in here, knowledgeable as heck, giving it your all, and giving it all to Denver Bronco Roundup fans and Denver Bronco fans all alike. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it out as best I can. Shout outs to those people who jumped in, because we appreciate you guys so much. Roger was in here. Michael was in here. Graham was in here. Kenny was in here. Pearl was in here. We had James Green that jumped in here as well. Jody, our 1/4 of the Denver Bronco Roundup, jumped in here as well. Ernie Mays, who we have up on the screen right now. Jeremy Dressler, if I didn't already mention it, may have missed. Who else did we have? I know that we had one more that I wanted to get to. Young Tyrone, of course, is in here as well. Jumping in here with lots of questions, lots of comments. Patrick Wiltsey, our good friend, as well. Man, you guys just were blowing it up. I appreciate you guys. Did I already say James Green? If I didn't, you get a second mention. So congratulations to you. Martin, that was the one I was looking for. Martin was a new name that jumped in here. Guys, if I didn't mention your name, Albert Knoppers was in here. as I'm scrolling. If I didn't mention your name, believe me, you're appreciated. Much like Pearl's coming in here and saying a big thank you and a big heart to us. Big thank you, big heart to every single one of you. Michael Ronquillo saying Broncos country, this is the way. Absolutely. Kurt and Dutchie. Oh, yeah. Kurt. Oh, my goodness. Kurt Valente. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Absolutely. Check those guys out Wednesday night for the Broncos. By the way, guys, I didn't mention it, but K&K Sports Show has tons and tons and tons of shows. If you like sports in any way, form or fashion, you need to check those guys out as well. Roger coming in here as well, saying thank you guys and get well soon, Trevor. I almost had that perfect.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
and thanks everybody. I wanted to just say before we get out of here, guys, remember that we are brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Please check out our website, guys, and I'll have to get rid of this comment real quick. But our website, RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. You can also check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, X, all fantastic platforms. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. All fantastic things to do for us and for all of the Denver Bronco Roundup fans and all the Denver Bronco fans out there. So check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'd appreciate it, guys, and appreciate you guys, all the support that you've been giving us. We've been growing fantastically, and it's because of you guys. I can't make it happen. It's all because of you, so thank you so much. Another fantastic thing real quick, guys, willowseasonings.com. That's our sponsor. Head on over to willowseasonings.com today. They are a fantastic rub, spice, and sauce company. They're based right out of Colorado. They're a Denver Bronco fan. They are a veteran. They are, just the most fantastic spices, rubs, and sauce companies out there. They're Blue Ribbon, award-winning. Head on over to willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. Type in the promo code DBR2023. Well, that'll save you 15% off your purchase. And believe me, this is the time of year you're looking for those stocking stuffers. You're looking for something to put underneath that tree for maybe that special someone, and they just happen to be a barbecue fan. Well, guess what? You just put a big old smile on their face. They're going to be so dang happy. If they don't already know the brand, they'll know it as soon as it hits their tongue, and they'll never forget it, guys. Head on over to willowseasonings.com. By the way, that promo code also, every time you use it, the owner donates $1 to a family in need at Rocky Mountain Sports Network. So you're doubling your duties, guys. You're helping out a family in need. You're helping yourself out. And, hey, you're hopefully making somebody that's, a friend or family member of yours very happy at Christmas time. So Jeremy Dressler coming in, one last comment saying, thanks, guys. You're the best. Appreciate you, Jeremy. I don't know if I mentioned your name. If I didn't, there's your recognition right there, Jeremy. Of course, appreciate you a ton. Good friend from a long, long, long time ago. We go way back. Guys, remember, tonight's our show. We always have that Friday show. Check us out Sunday, post-game show. Probably be in the evening time, but if you're sharing, and subscribing, you'll know all about it. And, of course, Denver Bronco Roundup every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can catch us then, guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Of course, go Broncos. We're going to get that win. We're going 6-0, guys. Let's go on here. Let's make it happen. I believe that if we believe, it'll all happen, guys. So until Sunday, when we're talking about a postgame, guys, keep your feet in your stirrups. Keep your guns in your holsters. Yes.
Yes.
And keep the Broncos in your hearts, guys. Thank you guys so much. Good night.